GM Adam, what is good? I can't believe it's already Tuesday. What a wild weekend. It was one of those weekends, man, where I was literally living in our Discord, just getting yelled at and also providing lots of information. But you know, that we will cover tomorrow. Insane update, actually, right? GoDaddy and ENS partnership. There's been a lot of things, domains actually have been popping up recently. I saw Fubar was also working on some sort of like cross-chain interoperable domain system. So maybe we even dive into that a little bit, get some perspectives for all of the ENS pros here. But Adam, I know you're a big ENS fan, man. What are your thoughts as you saw the announcement of the GoDaddy partnership?
Well, I mean, I'm just a big ENS fan because, you know, digital identity and ownership of that identity. I mean, people have been working on this since 2011, right? It's a real hard problem. And, you know, ENS is really the first name system that's like really got widespread adoption. And so it's exciting day for them, obviously. And I'd love to get into some of the details. I don't know too much technically about it, but yeah, if we want to dive in with some of these experts, we got some great people on stage. So I'm psyched to dive into all the details.
Yeah, we do have a few regulars who are back. First, I want to say hello to Ron. Man, we've been hanging out for quite some time, man. You feeling bullish after this integration announcement?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it's big. I mean, does it change everything tomorrow? No, but I think it's bullish not only for ENS but for Ethereum and just Web3, everything in general, because there's so much going on, and sometimes we're so much of an echo chamber, right? And first week of December, they had Ishmael, if you know him, and he's a Web2 domainer, had a big Web2, Web3 domainer conference in Vegas. And I went out there and spoke at that and had a lot of heavyweights in the Web2 world and kind of explaining, what Web3 is and how we have communities here and, everything, just real basics. And, people there that had sold hundreds of millions of dollars in domains and TLDs and everything like that. And so it's fun. We need those people. Not only do they have the money, but GoDaddy, 20 million customers, 70 million, I think 70, 80 million domains they have there. Now they can use those on the ENS and do almost everything that an ENS does. But they're able to use it. They're able to turn their .com into a wallet address. And the big thing is they're able to do it free and with two clicks. So huge, man. Yeah, it makes me bullish, especially long term. And I think it's good for all Web3.
Yeah, that is pretty exciting. There's a few things I want to discuss a little bit later, but I do want to make the rounds. Hello, Gary, man. Good to see you again. Last time Gary was on, the Bitcoin Ordinals community was red pilling him or saying on .sats, man. So did you happen to make your way and look around the domain space, and also give me a little bit of your take on the GoDaddy partnership?
GM. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having this space. Super exciting to have spaces like this with community leaders like this. Chris, Jake, Adam, great people on stage, Fry, Ron, everybody listening. Yeah, definitely orange pilled a little bit, medium amount of bit with the .sats community, ordinals, what's happening across the space, and just to keep it real, what I'm most bullish on is your communities, right? Because the communities are coming together, having conversations, and you guys are working toward, if not, being interoperable with the people. And it's really important that we come together. It's important that we recognize that we have differences of opinion, but even though we have differences of thought or opinion, it's very important, it's critical even, that we come together, right? Because if we're divided, we're going to fail. And if we're united, we're going to win. And when we're trying to figure out what are we here to be united about, what my guiding light is decentralization, is interoperability, it's freedom of access for everybody across borders, across chains, like permissionlessly, all that good stuff. Andreas Antonopoulos used to call it ripcord, ripcord blockchains, revolutionary, interoperable, publicly viewable, collaborative, community-based, open source, resistant to censorship, and decentralized. Yeah, guys, with this new news with GoDaddy, talk about building, talk about inclusion, right? It's not Web 2 versus Web 3. It's barely even Web 2 and Web 3. We have one internet. We don't have two internets. We have one internet. And, we kind of had Web 0 and we had Web 1. And then we had this thing called Web 2. And guys, when Web 2 came out, everyone was like, what the heck is this Web 2 thing? What are you talking about? This doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And there's all these puzzle pieces. there was puzzle pieces like I don't know if you guys are, you probably heard TCP/IP, or for your email, there's SMTP. For your browser, there's HTTP. Now we have security, SSL. You guys all heard of SSL before. There's a new puzzle piece in the jigsaw puzzle that is the internet. The new jigsaw puzzle pieces are these new protocols. You probably heard of them. One is called Bitcoin. There's another protocol. There's another protocol called Ethereum. Ethereum is interesting because it's so expandable. And, 6.5 years ago, we got a new puzzle piece called the ENS protocol. And the ENS protocol is so interesting, when you compare it to, others that are creating name services that have sort of only been forward looking, but not forward compatible. The ENS protocol is forward compatible with ICANN. So like twitter.com, facebook.com, gmail.com, amazon.com, instead of them needing to have a new domain from a new protocol, the protocol allows them to use the existing DNS name they got. What that means is that, if you have a Facebook account or an Instagram account, your instagram.com/your username, right? Or your Adam at gmail.com, or you have a, facebook.com/your username. Facebook can give every single user a subdomain of Facebook. Gmail can give every single user a subdomain of Gmail. It's going to cost them $0 to do that. They can make every single user a Web3 username. And what does that mean? That means, Gary.Facebook, Gary.Gmail, Gary.Instagram, whatever my username is, more like the Gary Palmer Jr.Facebook and Gary Palmer Jr. Instagram and all that good stuff. Like, I can send and receive, Facebook can make it so every single user can send and receive Ethereum, send and receive Solana. You guys know you can send and receive Solana using your .com. You guys can send and receive Bitcoin using your .com. You can send and receive Monero using your .com. ENS is cross-chain interoperable right now. ENS is blockchain agnostic right now. And what this GoDaddy news is telling people that weren't paying attention, it's like, what's happening? Yeah, your .com works in MetaMask. You don't need anything new.
All right, well, let's get some of the details here. I want to make sure everybody in the space, myself included, understands exactly what that means. And I know I'm going to have questions about it. So I don't know, Gary, if you want to dive into that, or if we want to get somebody else who if you don't feel comfortable going into all those kind of like details on it.
I feel too comfortable going into everything. But so
I have a question for Gary.
I want to hear from other people too.
Yeah, go for it.
Gary, I have a question for you. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Mona. I'm a broadcast journalist. And what I do in our space, I'm a former IRL news reporter in the local scene, but I came into Web3 to use my skill and especially storytelling skills to break down these concepts for the mainstream audience. So I come in here with a mainstream angle, and Gary, you are extremely knowledgeable, and in a sense I'm taking notes because I'm learning a lot from you so that I can be the facilitator of that information to the mainstream audience. My question to you is, it's funny because Emblem invited me because of my post the other day. I wrote a post and I said that the partnership between GoDaddy and ENS domains is a big deal, and it's a huge news for the Web3 ecosystem. However, educating the mainstream audience on what ENS is remains an important missing piece. And when you were talking about Facebook and Instagram, I can post that very post that I just read on Instagram, and I promise you I will get 20 people asking me, what is ENS? So how do you, if these amazing tools and features are going to be part of these platforms, how do we educate the mainstream audience? How do we tell them what it is and how they can use it and why they should frankly care?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And the first most important thing that and that everyone else wants to realize is that audiences matter. And so some people aren't going to care about ENS, and they don't need to care about ENS. And maybe sometimes we talk about Web3 domains, or we talk about Web3 identity. And with ENS protocol, essentially, I mean, if you use the word ENS, or if you talked about this Web3 domain thing, for the mainstream user, we want to let them know that, they're going to be interacting with blockchain apps. So there's new apps that are going to have blockchain tech. And when they connect with these new applications, they're going to have a human readable username. And the instead of a long wallet address that is just a long string of numbers and characters, they're going to have a human readable username. And that human readable username is going to be something that they own. So whenever they log into a new website, they're going to bring their name to that website. And they're going to have an identity that, instead of the website owning their name, the name is going to be something in your wallet. And when they connect to a website, they're going to define what their name is. They don't have to ask permission. I don't have to log into Farcaster and ask permission to be Gary Palmer Jr. When I log into Farcaster, they say if you have a Web3 domain, then you bring your name in. And so a lot of this, can get technical, and some people want to ask us technical questions, and we can break it down as simply as we can. And for the masses, though, it's just about owning your identity and owning your username. And it's such a foreign idea. What does that mean to own my name? It's like people don't realize, with Twitter.com, Twitter.com took Twitter.com/X, Twitter.com/music, because whoever owned Twitter.com/music, they didn't own their name. But if Twitter, and other social media apps like Farcaster and like OpenSea and like MetaMask and like Phantom Wallet and like, blockchain.com and, or Bitcoin.com, or just all of these thousands and thousands of applications, instead of me logging into Uniswap or OpenSea and saying, hey, is my name available? My name is in my wallet. I control the information that's connected to it. And it's just a paradigm shift in the way that people are going to act with the web.
All right. So this is where I think a lot of people are maybe missing what's going on. I totally get what you're saying now. But I think a lot of people are looking at it as, well, I have whatever, I don't know, my soap company website. Why would I want to tie that to my .eth? But what you're saying is, no, you have a Facebook username. You want to be able to tie that to your .eth. So what you're saying is, when and if these social media companies allow the tying of your social media handle to your .eth, that becomes like a powerful ID mechanism that travels with you across the web.
Yeah, I mean, there's vfriends.com, for example, and vfriends.com can make their username on websites. They can make vfriends.com. If you go to OpenSea and someone's username is vfriends.com because it uses the ENS, like there's that authority.
Yep.
Right. Of your business. But it's more than that too. It's also sending and receiving money. Once you turn your business.com into an ENS name using GoDaddy or whatever method, somebody can go to their MetaMask and they can send you USDC from MetaMask. They can send you, if with wallet supports it, like Phantom Wallet, they can send you Solana. They can send you Bitcoin to your .com. So if you have, MiamiTattoo.com and you're a tattoo artist in Miami and you're MiamiTattoo.com or you're MiamiTattoo.net, or if you're an AI company and you're like coolinfo.ai, you could just have it set up in your system. Yeah, send Bitcoin to coolai.com. Send Ethereum to coolai. Fill up your account at your username.coolai.com. And when you send Ethereum or Solana to that .com, that your name, .their website.com, then that's you sending money into your, right? And so you're directly connecting your Web2 domain name with MetaMask. You're directly connecting your Web2 domain name, because what was the situation before, guys? Before, if there's some new person getting into crypto, they go, okay, what do I got to get a wallet. Okay, now what do I got to download Coinbase wallet? Now what? What's my wallet address, right? Now they're going to have a name, and now it's going to make sense. Instead of their wallet being 0x whatever, it's going to be their domain name.com or their domain name.eth.
Gary, what's interesting too, while you were talking, Elon Musk just received a money transmitter license in 17 states, and the last one being Nevada. Do you think they're positioned well for what you just described as a social media platform, or as the first social media platform to do this?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say with Elon and what he's going to do with the power level that he has, is if he's going to move toward what he's talked about in this past about decentralizing the algorithm and decentralizing some of the platform. And we know that he's keen to some blockchain technology, but we know that he's really cautious. We know that Twitter and the product designers at Twitter have experimented with designs for crypto integration into Twitter. We know that they have the features of receiving payments already, or donations. We know they had the feature of the PFP. The protocol is open source, and so if the product engineers at Twitter wanted to add that feature, they can easily do like Farcaster has done, to where you can continue using the username that you already have on Twitter, or you could use this new Web3 open source protocol that costs $0 off chain, or near $0 if you use something like Optimism. I think, I definitely believe that we're going to be moving in that direction. I just don't know how quickly Elon Musk is going to do it. Just because being at such a strong position, with the centralized infrastructure, we just don't know how quickly companies like Elon and X are going to pivot into Web3. Although I would definitely imagine that a company like X pivots into Web3 technology and open source technology much quicker than some of the other large tech companies out there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if these tech companies are actually willing to give up this sort of layer of power, which my gut says no, or at least not for a while, or they're going to need to be pressured into it. Because like you just
made GoDaddy just slippery slope, where the user interface in the GoDaddy website has the words crypto wallet. Think how profound that is, because it's not just 20 million small businesses that use GoDaddy. There's also a couple thousand Fortune 5,000 companies that use GoDaddy, and this is just the first step of what's possible. Like in terms of the bare minimum, this is like there's like 10 things GoDaddy could be doing, and all they've done is the bare minimum, guys. They haven't even done the really cool stuff yet.
Yep. I'd love to have somebody up here talk to me about the how it exactly works. I know there's an off-chain oracle that kind of will read what's on GoDaddy and then give the permissions that way. But I'd like to know about that a little bit. And I also like to know about this, like, okay, if I have my domain, my .com address, for example, the renewals and everything still have to happen on GoDaddy. And if I fail to renew, I lose it as normal. Like just some background on that if somebody wants to jump in on those kind of technical details.
Jay, can I add security to your list too? If anyone can talk a little bit more on the security that comes with digital identities and how that works exactly, that would be amazing too.
Victor, do you want to jump in, and then I can add any filler if you need? Or you want me to jump in?
You're muted, Victor.
Talking about me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you want to jump in and explain how the DNS and the DNSSEC and the CCIP thing works with GoDaddy and ENS, and talk about the security of ENS and GoDaddy?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm very happy to explain this.
Victor has a company. He's one of the people like 3DNS and some of these guys out there. He's Namefi.io, and they're helping to do really cool stuff with ENS protocol and DNS.
Cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Gary, for the introduction. So yeah, I'm very happy to explain this. By the way, I'm Victor, and I'm founder of Namefi. We tokenize domains, and unlike GoDaddy, we kind of bring the ownership on chain. So it's slightly different things that we do, but we're very happy to see that GoDaddy is doing this as well, of supporting the feature that ENS allow you to resolve wallet address using your domain names. So what it essentially does is that if you have a domain name, everyone knows that if you have a domain name, you can set this particular record to point your domain names onto a wallet address. And at the moment, it works in MetaMask. So you can say, I own, let's say, web3domains.com, right? Like Gary has this web3domains.com, and then if he pleases, what he can do is he can just set a record and have it resolve it in MetaMask to his wallet address. Now, to ensure the key in the security problem here is to ensure when MetaMask or any client is getting that wallet address, they're getting it from the right people, from the right server, basically. So what it does is they will check in ENS, okay, this is an address, and then in the ENS, there's this resolver called DNSnames.eth.ens.eth, and then it essentially says, don't ask me, go ask this DNS server. So then the clients, for example, like MetaMask wallets, will go query the DNS and check for the text record. Now, many times you can be actually getting query answered by a separate DNS server. And there's this possible thing that's called DNS poisoning, which means someone is running a DNS server, you happen to resolve getting answered from them, and then they give you a wrong one. To make sure that doesn't happen, the record's going to be signed by someone. So the signature is signed through a protocol called DNSSEC. And in fact, DNSSEC is unlike a common scheme of like what we see in crypto space, where there's only one person signing in, one server or one person signing in, and you get the signature that it's done. In DNSSEC, the protocol says, not only will I sign the record, but also someone will sign me off to prove that I'm the rightful signer. For example, the root will have its DNSSEC public key. It will sign off and says, okay, these are .com servers owned rightful by VeriSign. And then so I'm going to sign off VeriSign's public key. Now, VeriSign is going to say, okay, I'm going to sign off Web3 domains under me, which is web3domain.com, public key. And then it comes to if Gary set the text record, then Gary's server, the DNS registrar will sign it off. So there's a chain of trust established through this signing. And back to the day, a lot of people ask why it costs so much on chain to verify this. For one, there's 3 steps or 4 steps to verify on chain for multiple signatures signing different things. And also, what's worse is that the signing algorithms is very expensive on smart contracts. So this time, the gasless DNSSEC is launched by saying, "Hey, we don't do the verification on smart contract anymore right now, or we can choose not to. Instead, you know how to verify. You verify and decide whether you want to believe in it or not. And it's off chain. There's no chain state changes." So that's how the security is. Like in short, DNSSEC established chain of trust, and the chain of trust endorses whatever text record you set as your wallet address you want to resolve. And your MetaMask or anyone's client will look it up and verify that the wallet address is not just set, but also endorsed. And that's a short answer.
So basically, ENS was able to take what was an on-chain, complicated, and expensive transaction and move the majority of it off-chain to I guess, a trusted third party or something to basically do that verification to basically make it a gasless transaction. Is that right?
Slightly different.
Okay.
To clarify, ENS could do it on chain, and that's expensive. When they do it off chain, when basically the protocol says it does off chain, there's no trusted third party involved in verifying them. You instead, as a user, or the clients that you're choosing to use, client app, most of the time would be a wallet. Sometimes you're looking at an Explorer. you as a user with your client is verifying it instead and off-chain.
Okay.
So there's no trusted third party. You do have to trust what client you're interacting with. If
Gotcha.
you go to a fraudulent D app, they can give you a wrong answer.
Gotcha.
Interesting. So I have a question, and also for those that aren't aware, Adam and I do a live stream, so we're both through my account. I know some people get mixed up there.
The guy who was laughing, that's Adam. Jake's the more calm, rational guy.
Yeah, for now, I guess. So Victor, maybe you can answer this. This is a little bit more of a less dense kind of question, but let's say I own the domain jakegallen.com, but I registered it on namecheap.com. Does that mean that I can't integrate this into ENS, or would I have to transfer this to GoDaddy to be able to satisfy this new partnership?
Well, for one, blameless self-promotion here, we also do it. So if you buy it from NameFi, which is like in this case, we serve similar feature to GoDaddy. We actually a few days before them, you can do it. It's very convenient, and then we're rolling out a new feature called Auto ENS, where if you buy it from here, it's already set up for you. You don't even have to do anything. And so that said, yes, every registrar have to make the feature available on their website to allow you to set this record. And that's the user experience problem that each of us have to compete to build the best feature for users. So if, let's say, Namecheap or Name.com is slow in reacting in that, you can either transfer it to NameFi, and also maybe GoDaddy and 3DNS. I'm sure that there's other projects that you can do it. We all compete to give you better service. That's one way. If you're more technical, what you can do is you can set the name server and enable the DNSSEC records in your parent. But basically, if you're asking this question, for everyone, Jake and Adam, if you're asking this question, the easy answer is go find another registrar that help you with this.
Victor, what are some of the early use cases you're seeing people use it for right now?
Just to jump in, Victor, I'm pretty sure you can do it in Namecheap. I would say, Adam, your answer was like kind of correct. That all of the all of this was on chain, and now what ENS did is that they abstracted all of the on-chain transaction data to verify this. They abstracted it off-chain.
Yeah.
And they abstracted it off-chain with two steps. The first step, and this is very important for anyone building anything in the room. The first step is they extracted it using CCIP, which is EIP 3668. And you can learn more about this at the short URL login.xyz. If you go to login.xyz, it just takes you to the links for EIP 3668. This is called CIP read or CCIP read. Stands for Cross-Chain Interoperability Protocol. It allows every blockchain to talk to every other blockchain. Every blockchain in the world can talk to any other blockchain in the world, and it doesn't have to be a blockchain. It could be a server in your basement, AWS, a Google spreadsheet can talk to a blockchain using CCIP read. And so this is abstracted off-chain using CCIP read. And then the second step that it uses in the DNS protocol, DNS is domain name service. It's like the DNS system. And the DNS system has this thing called DNSSEC, stands for, DNS security. And there's sort of like the cryptographic, keys for DNSSEC.
Yep.
And DNSSEC is like an open source. Everyone knows what the keys are, so everybody can verify DNSSEC. And so you're not the third party that you're trusting. You're not trusting a third party, but the third party thing that you're trusting is DNSSEC, which is like this open source thing. And so, with that being said, there's a lot of any registrar that you have your domain name at. The only thing that they need to do for you it doesn't have to be just GoDaddy. GoDaddy made it so simple, and GoDaddy is an 8,000-pound gorilla.
Yeah.
In the world of Web 2, with Web 1 and Web 0, right? Like I remember before GoDaddy did a Super Bowl commercial. I used them before they did a Super Bowl commercial. I used GoDaddy after they did a Super Bowl. I like it. Like GoDaddy is huge. Fortune 500 companies use GoDaddy, right? But any domain name registrar that has DNSSEC, and GoDaddy used to charge, like, because I set up my web3domains.com as a DNSSEC domain before this announcement. And so I was paying $30. GoDaddy was charging me $30 to use DNSSEC, and now it's free for everybody. Okay, because ENS protocol and ENS Labs team and this amazing announcement, it's now free for everybody. And at Namecheap, it might be free too. But as long as they have the DNSSEC, you go into your name server settings and you click like, add DNSSEC, and maybe it's free, and then you make the changes. And what Victor is saying is that GoDaddy made it ultra simple. Like when you go to GoDaddy and you can check out my article on Web3 domains, we talk about this, and we have links to all the tweets. But GoDaddy, they have the words crypto wallet on their website, which in unto itself is bonkers, right? The technical term is bonkers. That the words crypto wallet is GoDaddy. But you click on the DNS and you click on the words crypto wallet, and then you toggle the button that says turn on DNSSEC, and then you simply paste your Ethereum address, and then you click save, and then it's done. And so some interfaces are incredibly simple because they did a partnership with ENS Labs and they're on top of it, and they're cutting edge companies like GoDaddy. But other places like Namecheap or whatever, maybe it's more difficult, or maybe they don't have DNSSEC enabled. But this is something like, is not just at GoDaddy.
No, I hear you. Actually, I'm surprised that GoDaddy, because it is such a big behemoth, that they were actually the first mover. I would have thought, a smaller kind of upstart, kind of like Victor's company would be the one to.
We are the first one.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
If you look at it, on Monday we had Nick Johnson was on a stage with us, and we were the first one on the same day that gasless ENSSEC was announced. We enabled this feature that GoDaddy released several days later. And then today, I know that GoDaddy allowed you to go in and figure out how to, like, if you're tech savvy like Gary, like you understand and you care, you want to know what the ENSSEC is, yeah, sure. You can go read the documentation, try to understand ERC 3368 and CCIP. If not, like if you buy a domain from Namefi, it's set up for you automatically. You don't even have to set it up. So yeah, so we are moving, and I'm glad that GoDaddy is providing this. Is just like giving a lot of validation to it, and then just one step further, we are always like trying to make it better for you guys. So check out namefi.io, and then if there's any feedback you would like, I would love to kind of please DM me. And I'm sorry, I probably have to hop off because I have another conflict come up. I really appreciate my teammate will be here listening in. So if you could, there's Namefi accounts that you can follow. But thank you very much.
I appreciate it, Victor, for your response. I'm gonna go around for the hands, and also there's a handful of requests. So I may be shuffling through some individuals here shortly so that everyone could participate. Seems like there's a lot of eagerness surrounding this type of conversation moving forward. So I do want to go to Hidayat. I believe I got that right. Then we'll go to Master right after.
Hey, GM everyone. See, so basically what is DNSSEC, gasless import of DNS domains to ENS is you can convert any DNS domain to a ENS domain. So basically any domain can become a wallet address, and you can use it anywhere. Any app which supports ENS, you can showcase your domain names there. So as Victor said, if you are technically savvy, you can do that. I believe it doesn't need that much technically savvy person to do this. Anyone who is familiar with DNS can import their DNS to ENS. It's very simple. So you need to understand how you can set up DNSSEC on your domain, and you just have to add a text record, and your domain becomes an ENS. Okay, so it's very simple. You need to understand a text record. If you have done this earlier in your life, it's 5 seconds job. your domain will become an ENS name, and that domain can become a wallet address, and you can do all the things which can be done with an ENS name. Like you want to transfer an asset, you can do that. For example, take hidayat.xyz, I own a domain, I can convert it into an ENS name, and I can use it on MetaMask, and someone can use it on MetaMask and transfer assets to me, like an NFT or a crypto asset, or anything which can be done on EVM blockchain. So tomorrow maybe interoperability will come where other blockchains can transfer the assets using ENS names. So technically it's very easy, and the best example of this tech is CB.id, which has provided more than 4.5 million ENS names to the people who doesn't know what is ENS, basically. Okay, so everybody, the 4.5 million people are having CB.id wallet addresses. They are ENS names, and you can use it anywhere in the ecosystem and do transactions using those IDs. So we were surprised last year when we did ENS meetup in India. There were more than 140 people attended the event, community members attended the event. In that, four users used their CB.id as an ENS name. When we asked them to fill the form to provide their ENS names, they use CB.id. See, everybody is asking if it is not .eth, how people will say it's an ENS. Okay, so people are already using their Web2 names, like Web2 domains, as their ENS names. That was the best use case which we saw in last December. CB.id proved it. So what I can guess is the big organizations which handle payments like PayPal and those stuff, who are adopting crypto slowly. So these guys will adopt this technology very fast and provide their users an ENS name using DNSSEC import, and ask them to do the transactions and those things. So this is how this adoption will come into mainstream. We are building something called mywallet.is. Basically, we are building a POC where you can create an ENS name using that website free of cost using DNS. And coming back to the question, how this works using CCIP read technology, where the main contract is on Ethereum blockchain. And using CCIP, this code will go and check the DNS record of the particular subdomain or domain. And it will check for, is there a particular text record added to this name? If the text record is added, then it will make sure what is the wallet address has been added to the text record. From there, it will extract the wallet address, and it provides the wallet address to the wallets where someone is trying to transfer the asset. Yes, Jack.
I appreciate that take. I would like to call on Master. Thank you for being patient. Also, I just want to say I'm excited to finally talk to you for the first time when ENS blew up last bull cycle. I really enjoyed your takes, and I know that you were an early adopter of ENS. So pleasure to meet.
Yeah, thanks much for having me. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Depends on where you are. And a lot of you guys might know me already, but if you don't, I might recommend you check my pinned tweet, which was sent by December 2019, 4 years ago. The topic is about will .eth still be valuable when one day .com can do the same thing. I was surprised, actually. It was after 4 years that the whole thing happens, and it was mentioned and discussed by the ENS team, I think, over and over again in the past couple of years. And people, I think they are arguing whether or not this is going to bring value to ENS or not, or they are kind of diluting the value of ETH. A lot of conversations. So in general, I think nobody will object on that. .eth is the .com of the crypto. Right? We don't see any other project in crypto domain that can conquer .eth. I don't think that ever happens or exists or even has any potential, because if we check the trading history, number one is .eth. It's like daily trading is like 10 or to 100 ETH. The number two, the second is very, very limited. It's like even less than 0.1 ETH, right? There's no competition in this lane. No, I think not. But the problem is that is not the .eth is not a king in crypto, but the problem is still They are very limited user case for user to transfer, crypto money to others' wallet as a, the daily behavior, as a daily manner, because people are not getting used to do that. We are still using the traditional money. Not majority of people. We are like, I lend you money, I lend you ETH or USDC. That is not very popular. So this is the major problem of we need to wait for that to happen. We all say that the people in crypto, if you wear a .ETH or even like Solana or even a .BTC, you wear something, then you are people with clothing. Otherwise, if you are your raw hash address, then you are naked people, unfortunately. But the biggest problem is not even you are naked or you are dressed, but the problem is majority of the people in this planet, they don't have a crypto account yet. They don't know what is about crypto. And integrating, ENS to GoDaddy is bringing lots, really giants like GoDaddy. They are bringing lots of traditional people in this planet, pushing them to create an account, because right now they can use their damn.com to associate to some wallet address. It's like some function for free. It's cool. Why not? Right? .eth is cool. ENS is cool. But its problem is just like a very shy but very nice boy in the college. He never get a chance to meet any hot girls. It's like the party, the project team is always very shy. They are not very open, right? Especially Web 2 versus Web 3. The gap is huge. We don't see that bridge to be connected from time to time, because Web 2 people, they are very cautious. They think Web 3 are scams, crypto money is very risky, and they are very careful. So right now, GoDaddy is going to be that bridge to bring the people on the other side coming. And I cannot imagine a better way for this to do commercial for ENS, right? I think Kev, myself, Ron, we did like Twitter Space we insisted that for like 1 year time. But all the parties on that community, unfortunately, majority was from Web3. But it's like the same people talking about the bullshits, the similar bullshits, day and the day after. There is no improving because we are not bringing new people in. As I said, why.com has so much value. Why a domain.com? Maybe if you ask me why .com is so expensive comparing to XYZ or .org, maybe the answer is very complicated. But why the blockchain domain and versus the Web2 domain has so many differences? Because there are millions of internet companies that they really need these .com domain to create value for them. So the vision of .com is, for example, like for millions of internet companies. But what is the vision for .eth? The .eth is for every single people in this planet, 8 billion population. They require a personal ID in case, this is for the vision for the crypto in the future. So that blue ocean is just huge. We have so many, the ceiling is so high, right? We are not just getting close yet. We got a long run to catch. So I always tell people that just don't get rushed, just don't get anxious. We have a long time to chase. So right now, I think we have made a significant step by integrating with GoDaddy. By the way, DNSSEC, this is like using some Web 2 way to integrate to Web 3. But anything gasless, if you guys hear anything about gasless, unfortunately, that is not crypto spirit. That is something still a little bit relying on centralized infrastructure way, which can be, easily compromised from time to time. We know, because if you run a DC, the data center, the server can be unplugged from time to time, right? The government can ban it, and some administrator can be very powerful. But imagine only the .eth as the ENS native. This is the only thing that you can purely change everything on chain. This is ENS is definitely more than .eth. Right now, we are talking about all the TLDs can coming in, but .eth is the only native, suffixes among all ENS, the big families. That's my point. So yeah, I'm so glad that I got that chance to talk to Gary again at here today, because we have this conversation. We had this conversation since 2019, was before after my first article launched in Twitter. But I kind of feel sorry for you, because you know so much, even so much more than me, Gary, from that time. But you still failed to own Gary.eth. I hope you get that soon, because I really hope
Gary's down bad.
You guys know it, but your behavior, your movement should match what your understanding. So especially Gary knows so much on the technical ways. I hope you can trade Gary.is sooner. And if you guys are not so doubtful,
I was pinching pennies, and I was like, I don't know. Like, oh man, I got some stories. One day when I doxed my portfolio, I got some names, guys. I was looking at my names, and I was like, I don't know if I want to buy this. And it's like retrospect, it's like, oh my God, of course you would have like instantly bought that. But yeah, it's it's hard. And that guy's a whale, and there's whales out there, and he doesn't even want to make a trade. Like I got Dylan.eth. I was going to trade Dylan.eth with the guy, and yeah, he doesn't even want to entertain that. So if I don't even know if it's J4 Ward, and there's a guy on Twitter, we all know who he is. I don't think it's really him, to be honest. So if you think it's really him, you can DM him. But I don't even think that's him, guys. I think that Twitter account's playing us.
Yeah, I hope you can convince that guy sooner or later. If you guys still no doubt about what I'm talking about, you can check in my wallet and see what I got. I'm the people that put real money invested in this business by 2019, and I hold this for 5 years. I paid renewal for very expensive, like 3 digits, $640 annually, 4 digits, $160 annually for these babies. I hold this for 5 years, never have a doubt, and I hold it here today. See one and another good news. Although majority of the names are still in my bag, because if you guys know about domain investment, you need to hold for really long term, because each domain you need one buyer only. So the patience is the only thing you need to hold it for the long run. And unfortunately,
hey, Master,
money.
you brought something up that I wanted to ask you to explain a little bit further.
Sure.
When you talked about masses and verification, if you think about millions of people, right, coming through GoDaddy to take advantage of this feature, and if ENS offers, if the selling point here, if the product here is to offer a secure and decentralized way to manage digital identities, and the ultimate goal being like reducing the risk and the fraud that we experience day after day on the traditional DNS system, when you take things off chain to compensate for the cost, does that then affect that main feature, the selling point here? Does my question make sense?
Yeah, I totally get you. And also, as I mentioned, anything they mention guest list is no real blockchain stuff. If it is because this is obeying the blockchain spirit. I think having the traditional .com, .org, .xyz, these guys use their traditional domain to integrate into the hash association via ENS service is kind of a trial run. Let them feel what looks like. And once they tried it, they found, oh, it is great. I can associate it with my hash address from the crypto, or even I don't have a hash address, then I have to create a hash address and I mean take advantage of that function of my some of my existing .com to link with it. I feel it's cool. Then that will pop up them with the second question. Wow, this is great. Then who can change my association? Because it's like bank account, right? I don't want my bank account has any possibility to be changed by any people, any circumstances, but by giving it to a guest list way in such infrastructure, it is still vulnerable, unfortunately. So the second, I think they can lead it to maybe the .is consideration. Harry, you got something to add?
Well, I mean, so Master's perspective, which I do share, which is that when we talk about the ENS protocol, the ENS protocol means two things. On one hand, it's the .eth, which is the blockchain native NFT, and it has this extra feature, which is it's an immutable NFT, so nobody can take it away from you. But ENS is also the ICANN Web 2 domain names. And the ICANN Web 2 domain names like .com, they can do everything. That's the whole thing here, guys, is that the .com names now can do everything the .eth names could do. But the one benefit about the .eth is that it's decentralized and it's immutable, right? But I need to push back for the opposite side, and the opposite side. And so what Master is saying is that a .com domain can still be taken away from you by either ICANN or if ICANN gets a legal notice or something from a corrupt government, then, you know, you know, I don't know, something in China or Russia, you know, like use your imagination. I don't know. Then that could still be rugged from you, right? But with what happened with GoDaddy, this is a big deal. And then I would like to throw it to Josh. But with GoDaddy, they did the most basic thing. And they with the option that they did, what does that do? What's that feature? What's that benefit? It lets you make your .com or whatever a Web3 domain. So your .com can be used for your identity across all these Web3 apps. So your .com can send and receive crypto. So your .com can send and receive tokens, right? But Mona, there's the next step. And Jake and Adam, there's the next step. The next step, which GoDaddy has not done, is tokenizing the Web2 domain name. When we take the Web2 domain name and we tokenize it, we turn it into a token, we create an NFT counterpart. Then what happens is that you can have that Web2 domain name as an NFT on OpenSea, and you can have that Web2 domain name that you could have it so someone buys it like it's an NFT, and instead of having to wait a week for them to get the money and for them to transfer the domain name, that transfer happens instantly. They receive the money instantly. You receive your .com domain name instantly.
Gary, that's it.
Tokenized, and this is something that Josh has done with the .box project, which is a Web2 ICANN TLD, but it's 100% native to Web3. It's a completely tokenized TLD. It's a normal domain name, but it's tokenized on the blockchain.
That's the game changer right there.
Yeah,
hey,
a lot of money.
100%.
Yeah, Josh, throw it to you. Jump in unless Jake or add something.
Yeah, happy to jump in. Thank you for a very nice introduction. And I was trying to jump in earlier because I really liked one thing that Master was saying, which is he said gasless is not real blockchain. And so I want to say that. I want to talk a little bit about that in our perspective, the .box domain project and our perspective on that, but also just say that I love the gasless DNSSEC partnership with GoDaddy because that is going to bring a lot of people into our space. It forces them to download a wallet. It forces them to start learning about Web3 and the Web3 paradigm and kind of the dream of what decentralized identity is, and the things that Gary was saying earlier on about what decentralized identity and Web3 authentication allows, with such things as the ownership of only one username for the rest of your life. I can be Josh.box everywhere now. And so the gasless DNSSEC partnership is going to bring more people into this, is going to drive more companies and more web services to accept Web3 authentication and wallet authentication, which is pushing the thing that I think we all believe in a lot, which is you own your data, you own your username, you get to choose what types of information you share with social networks, with e-commerce stores, with any kind of web service. So A, this is a great development from my perspective. B, I think people will then realize eventually that gasless is not real blockchain, and that when you are setting up DNSSEC, the domain on the DNS side is still king. And those records could be changed by a crafty call to customer service, for example. It happens. Social engineering and all kinds of things. You cannot trade a domain on NFT markets that's been set up just purely from DNSSEC. The domain name is still essentially ruggable on the DNS side. You can really only trade the domain name in DNS marketplaces. So I think that while it is amazing to get people into our space, what my hope is and what our vision is that they will then realize that they need other products. And those other products, I think right now, are really two. One is .box and the next is .eth. And I think we live in a world where people will probably do a combination of all three, and they will use the different products for different use cases. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to say there. Dotbox is the Web 2 plus Web 3 interoperable, but we're also blockchain native, meaning that the ownership of a Dotbox domain name gets passed through the control and ownership of the NFT, and DNS records can only be updated by the person holding the NFT. And we get seamless kind of native interaction with ENS. So you can use it for forward resolution. You can use it as your primary name. It doesn't require DNSSEC. Every transaction with a Dotbox domain is actually a blockchain transaction.
So Josh, one question there on the Dotbox domains. Then I'm assuming they still expire. Is that correct?
Yeah. There are renewal. It's a very similar pricing structure as .eth. So you pay a flat fee for the first year registration, and then the same fee for renewals. Yes. And if you don't choose to renew, then it expires and goes back into circulation for someone else to buy.
What happens with that NFT?
It gets delinked and becomes useless.
Okay.
I actually have a question as well. So comment, then a question at the end. So Adam and I were here co-hosting, and Chris, right? We work at Emblem Vault, which is a cross-chain NFT interoperability protocol. A lot of people aren't aware that vaults can actually contain arbitrary data as well. So we've had a lot of discussions around tokenizing domain names, Twitter handles, Facebook handles, etc. But at the end of the day, you still run into this issue where it's essentially still ruggable. And I know with quote unquote ruggable, right? So if we tokenize, let's say jakegallon.com in a vault and then sold it on the Ethereum, on tokenized on Ethereum and sold it on OpenSea, right? Whoever the domain provider is can essentially just repossess it. But it sounds like you've definitely thought through these and had these type of conversations. So in that case, let's say we don't have a conversation with ICANN or GoDaddy, and we just go ahead and do this. What are the repercussions of that? Is it something that you can just go ahead and start tokenizing domains in a decentralized way, or will they, whoever it is, ICANN or GoDaddy, see that and then essentially just repossess the domain?
Well, I can speak. So each TLD has its own acceptable use policy, and it's not really the registrar or even necessarily ICANN that makes these decisions. So I can speak about Dotbox, for example. The general rule of thumb is that these Dotbox domains would only be rugged if they were being used in a bad faith manner. And I don't have my acceptable use policy right in front of me, but it lines up with an ICANN specification, and it basically says you cannot use it.
Basically saying that if the government sends you something from the Department of Justice about someone using a box domain, then that name might get rugged. But other than that, the name won't get rugged.
If you're clearly infringing on someone else's well-established trademark, using it for nefarious purposes, or if we get a notice, a court order, essentially, if we get a court order, then we follow that. And that's the trade-off that we're talking about here, is that because Dotbox is governed by an ICANN registry agreement, then it is able to work in DNS. Like, that's kind of the requirement. So you can use a Dotbox domain name for website and email because it is governed by an ICANN registry agreement. So you get that, but as a cost, if you use it for spam, phishing, terrible content, or things like that, you lose it. That's kind of there's the upside is you can host a website and use it for email, and the downside is you can't do it. You can't use it for things that ICANN deems essentially, not acceptable.
And so to throw in there, like, this is the beauty of the ENS protocol, is that the ENS protocol is both a .eth, and so we have a mutable identity. We do have decentralized identity, but it's also forward compatible with all of ICANN, which, you know, still has the ICANN rules, right? And so the ENS protocol is the umbrella for all of it. And with every integration, the entire protocol is increasing. All of Web3 is increasing, and the .box company, you guys are, you know, you guys are the first fully tokenized TLD ever, right? Like you're 100% tokenized using ENS and Web3.
Yeah, that's correct. And I missed that point earlier, which is the other nice thing about the GoDaddy partnership is that now, if there was ever any question about which blockchain protocol was going to become the naming standard for blockchain naming systems, that question is over. Now, ENS is the protocol that I think has now the network effects necessary to be forever. You know, it to me, in my mind, is equivalent to the domain name system, which has been around for 30 years. So yeah, that now ENS is there for all of us. We understand it's open source. We know how to use it. There's a lot of things you can do on it. I think .eth will be the only TLD that is 100% blockchain native, based on the immutable, based on the what do they call it? The
ENS DAO Constitution.
Yeah, the Constitution, exactly. Sorry, Gary, go ahead. Yeah,
Just to throw in there, there's a ENS DAO Constitution, which is just some words on a paper, and in terms of the blockchain space, kind of don't mean anything. But in terms of the people that care about, you know, the majority of what's going on, there's a written constitution. And the ethos of ENS is that we don't want to cause name collisions, and we don't want to pollute the namespace. And there's a very deliberate foundational understanding that we don't want to create more TLDs, because it's just going to pollute the namespace and it's just going to create conflicts. And so all we need on the decentralized side, the immutable side, is .eth. And then it's forward compatible with every single ICANN TLD. And then there's, you know, businesses like my.box, and Josh is running, you know, this company, right? Is that accurate to say, like you're a company now, and you built on top of open source Web3 technology, and you're providing a service for people, you know, these awesome domain names using open source tech.
Yeah, 100%. Everything that we're doing now is possible because of ENS, and every project that will build on top of ENS will have a slightly different flavor. You know, it'll be good for this or not good for that. Ours is aligned as closely as possible to .eth as we could be, given the fact that we must have a relationship with ICANN. And the other thing on top of it is we've implemented ours on Optimism to cut down on gas fees. So we're based on an L2. We have a gateway to the ENS. We're closely aligned with .eth as much as possible, and we're just glad that ENS has caught the network effect of other projects that want to build and incorporate blockchain naming into their system.
Interesting. I appreciate the take, Josh. I might have to reach out to you actually, and have some deeper conversations about that, 'cause it seems like you've gone down those conversations many times that the Emblem team has been discussing.
Yeah, please do. Thank you very much. Nice to meet everybody.
A pleasure. I would like to call on Andrew next. Thank you for being patient. I know your hand's been up for a while. Then we'll go to Chris right after.
Hi guys, thank you so much. So I will introduce myself. So I'm an owner of the two ICANN registrars, and I'm in the business from 2001. And our domain name registrar that called Nicknames will be launched, I believe, in this month, because we are postponing our launch because there is a different things going around blockchain, and we're the first ICANN accredited registrar that's going into Web3 fully. So what it means is that you will be able to connect your wallet with the MetaMask. You will be able to create custodial wallet. You will be able to watch someone's wallet, and you will be able to seamlessly connect to any domain name. And we will use the technology that GoDaddy right now using for gasless connection. But we started to implement actually the complicated way that was before with the when you have to pay gas to connect your domain name to the wallet. But after announcing that ENS now available, like, I mean, we can connect with the gasless fee, so we have to like rethink it. I can put it just like more simple for people, like to just put their record into the DNS in the sign with the DNS sec. And it's a great solution, but we are going further. We're going to domain name tokenization. And yes, we will tokenize domains. We will put them as an NFT on the blockchain. And we also will work with the domains.box. And .box is a great example of tokenized domain names on chain. And this is the only domain name that is actually compliant with the worldwide laws. Because in ENS, if you think about it, it's a decentralized domain name, but it's not compatible with the current laws. So if you have a lawsuit and if someone violating someone's rights, there is, as I know, there is no way to stop this domain name. And that's why I think in the future, maybe ENS DAO will change some rules, maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, so we're almost ready to launch. We support this initiative of ENS with GoDaddy because it shows to everyone that it's very important. The wallets, they exist. The primary network is here, like Ethereum network, and it gives us possibility to resolve domain names on using ENS protocol. Right now, I think it's mostly working on the mainnet, but later I think other L2 networks will be more compatible because, like right now, for example, on Optimism, if I'm trying to resolve .box, it's not working. Probably it's like issue between networks. I don't know exactly, but all this, like what we're doing right now, it's showing to developers also different issues. So they see the bugs and what they have to fix, and it's very, very cool for community, very cool for crypto space. And also feel free to ask me any questions about like from the accredited register. I can answer any questions. And also I'm a patent attorney, so I can also answer questions about like UDRP, like which cases to the domain name could be stopped and stuff like that. So thank you guys for this space, and thank you for letting me speak today.
Yeah, really appreciate that. Chris, what's on your mind?
Hey, yeah, super fun. Thanks everyone for pulling up to the Emblem space. Definitely feel free to give that account a follow, Emblem Vault account a follow. This is a fun show today, and it's good to see ENS kind of breathe a lot more life into that segment of the market. And props to you guys for kind of following it along for all these years. My question is kind of just, domains are a clear use case for crypto in general. It's always been pretty obvious that digital real estate is super valuable and it should live on a blockchain. What kind of competitive advantage does this give ENS to something like .sats or .btc or any of the other naming services? And kind of how deep is that partnership, do we think?
So like the internet that we have, the Web 0 that we all use today is not the best internet. It's, there's a lot of problems with it in terms of security. There's a lot of problems in our internet in terms of privacy. There's a lot of problems with our internet in terms of money, right? Because money could have been built into the early internet. And they quickly discovered better iterations of the early internet. But because there were so many people around the world who had adopted the internet, and there was so much infrastructure that was already built on it, it was difficult or impossible for them to have forked that early internet. So instead of forking the early internet, they just continued to build on the internet that they had because of those network effects. And so now we have this technology. This technology has had massive development from a technological perspective, the ENS protocol. It's also had massive integrations, thousands and thousands, if not tens of thousands of wallets and exchanges, apps, dApps, websites, millions, thousands of businesses, right? From Puma and White Castle and Adidas and Anheuser-Busch, Budweiser buying beer.eth, right?
not just Web 2, but Web 3, buyers of the domain names, end users, not just speculators, right? And then we see it in the volume as well, right? And the numbers don't lie when we look at the money, because the money definitely talks. And so there's this massive network effect that I believe was undeniable years ago. But now with this adoption of GoDaddy, you can imagine all of GoDaddy's competitors looking at GoDaddy saying, what the F, right? Like, what's going on? What do we got to do? What sort of competition is this? Why is this a new fire that GoDaddy is going to get another competitive advantage of, at least in branding? And so this network effect is just continuing to go down the line, and it's not in a silo, right? There's this technology called ENS protocol, and there's this other technology called Chainlink, and there's this other technology, with all of Ethereum and really EVM blockchains. Like Solana with all of its problems, but they're all EVMs, right? And so Chainlink is doing massive integrations with the Swift network and, national banks and, all these financial institutions. And I don't have the tweet right in front of me, but Chainlink is in their documentation. Chainlink has a blockchain called Onyx. It's a private blockchain called Onyx. And they have that private EVM blockchain, and it connects with Chainlink, and then their documentation, JP Morgan is teaching other bankers about Web3 domains. JP Morgan is teaching other bankers about ENS. And so there's this massive network effect that common people aren't seeing, because we're not reading the documentation of JP Morgan's Onyx blockchain, right? But then with this major consumer news with GoDaddy, I'm just trying to show you how with thousands of integrations and thousands of lines of code and thousands of developers and thousands of end users and an interoperable, interconnected, borderless Web3 system, ENS is just one piece, but it's highly integrated with everything happening across the ecosystems.
Can I just take a moment and appreciate Gary, Andres, Ron, Master, Josh? I mean, I don't know where you guys came from, but the wealth of knowledge you guys have is absolutely incredible. And the fact that you guys can break it down to such small pieces and digestible pieces. Emblem, thank you so much for bringing these guys on. This is very insightful.
I appreciate that. I also appreciate you, Madam Mona, for the great questions. It's always nice to have a fellow, interviewer or co-host on the show asking, very solid takes and questions. So really appreciate that. As we wrap this up, I think the ENS and GoDaddy integration is exciting to me from the perspective as an onboarding mechanism, right? One of the main criticisms, or you could say even cruxes of crypto, is that after every bear market, it's the same individuals sloshing around the same funds, right? Just playing hot potato and speculating. And the bull market really doesn't start until you get new people into the ecosystem. And, domains have been around for 30 years or so, maybe even a little bit longer. And that touches hundreds of millions of people, if not billions of people. And even just getting, 0.1% of those to say, hey, what is this crypto wallet on GoDaddy? And then starting to use that and integrating it into different types of crypto protocols, or even just getting them to say, hey, this is a crypto wallet, I need to buy some ETH, right? And that could onboard millions or tens of millions of dollars. And that's what we need for adoption, right? Whether you're a .sol fan, a .eth fan, a .sats fan, or you just like .com. There's a lot of individuals who will not participate in crypto just because it's too complex. I mean, we've learned this from the Emblem side. Even sophisticated, crypto individuals will not partake in cross-chain activities because it takes 3 or 4 additional steps, right? And the average individual doesn't want to take more than one step. But if it's presented there, nicely on GoDaddy, that will capture a lot of attention. And so I think that's incredibly bullish. Whether that, hinders the speculative value of a .eth, I think is still to be determined. But users that come into crypto, there's a spectrum of preference of decentralization. I mean, we saw today, right? Solana went down, and for most people, it doesn't even matter, right? That's not why they're there. They're there for, high throughput optimization, where other people prefer decentralization, and that's why they're on Bitcoin and wanted .sats. But there's a spectrum for everybody, and so I'm incredibly excited to hear this, and also appreciate everyone on stage. You know, as Metamona said, really incredible takes. I learned a lot. Adam, what are your final takeaways from this conversation?
I love it. You know, it's so funny, you know, when we're talking about like, how do you guys know so much? It's like, you know, I'm looking at guys who have done literally hundreds of spaces on ENS and .eths, and you know, Ron's laughing, but Ron knows, man. Like, we've been doing this stuff for years. It's like we recognize, I think anybody who's been here long enough recognizes that this is something that people have been thinking about for more than a decade. And to see it finally kind of come to mainstream is very gratifying. Obviously, if you have big bags, it's tremendously gratifying. But for anybody in the crypto space, we just realized that ownership of digital items is the future, and we're happy that anytime we can onboard some, you know, normies into the space, it's a huge win, and this is obviously a huge win. So shout out to the ENS team for making this happen, because I'm sure this was a tremendously heavy lift to get GoDaddy on board. But yeah, it's huge news.
Tremendous. I'd like to talk to two people on the way out. Ron, who we've been doing this with for years. Any final takeaways from this conversation? Any type of comments? And then I'd like to end it with Gary.
Yeah. I'll I gotta say, so much knowledge here. I was able to sit back and just listen. Didn't need to say much, but you know, I'm gonna take it back 20 years before I got into crypto, when I was, you know, in my early 20s and got into .com, and you know, actually we gave GoDaddy probably their first 500,000 customers, because we took our company, we had a vision of .com back when everyone thought it was a scam, and we were able to take our company public. So we had millions of dollars to be able to educate and onboard. And so when GoDaddy, you know, I used to play golf with the owner's son for years, monthly. And so this is kind of, and so I believe now, since got into crypto in 2011, but really got into it and really believed it was the next coming of the .com in early 2017. And you know, I'll just kind of reflect on that. It was these kind of partnerships, you know what I mean? And it doesn't say it's gonna change the game tomorrow, but it's just these one little partnership after another. It's kind of like you're rolling a giant boulder, and like Jake said, it's always that same people rolling the boulder. We get rolled back over and squashed. We got to start all over again in the next market. But this is truly, to me, going back before, you know, 20 years before Satoshi wrote his white paper. This just really gives me early.com vibes, when you could put on an event and half the people would get up and leave thinking you were a scammer. This is how it happened. And that, I'll just kind of go back to that, because that's probably something I share that maybe only Adam and I are old enough to remember those days. But yeah, that's my comment, man. This is early. I'm talking mid 90s .com vibes for me, and just seeing this adoption, little, and then bam, all at once. So that's my final thoughts. So thanks for having me up. Always good to be on with legends like Adam and Jake. There's few people that I look at. I mean, not few, but not that many people that when I see them interested in something, I know it's good, and that's Adam and Jake fall into that. Guys who kind of mentored me in a lot of areas of blockchain. So privileged to be on here and on with all the people here.
Yeah, appreciate that, Ron. Really, really do. Always love your takes, and crazy it's been, 2.5, almost 3 years going on to this. Call on Master, and then we'll end it with Gary.
Yeah, thanks. Sorry for interrupting. I think to end up with the conversation, I will recommend a majority of you guys, if you're interested, to take a deep dive into the ENS market right now, because this is a bear market still. I think this is a great opportunity for people to collect their bags, because I don't encourage people to do too many domains. You own too many domains. It doesn't make sense. For majority of you guys, my recommendation is get at least one good name, and that's it, because domain needs renewal. Don't do too many of them. If you want to sell all of these names with high price, it's very difficult. And lots of people ended up with registering a bunch of shit domains, because 99% of the domain will never get a chance to sell. These are all people. They make it up. They make all the meanings as only themselves can know what it is about. I don't think this was worthwhile to do. Just own one good name, because we've seen this episode before. We've seen great.com domains being sold for millions of dollars. We've seen as NFT, some of the very expensive art NFT, PFP NFTs being sold for I think a top punk has been sold for 8,000 ETH. It is something like Tiffany style punk, I remember, right? We can say that people is crazy. Sometimes when some very rich people, they want to buy some decent things, they don't care about that. But imagine why ENS as both a top domain name plus also as an NFT cannot compare with these babies, right? More or less, right now the same prefix of the ENS, the .es, the price is only close to a .xyz. So we still got a far, away from the potential. The ceiling is still very high. So yes, that's my recommendation to you guys. Do your homework, do the right thing. Still in the bear market, but we have everything. We are on the winning team. The only way for ENS to get fair is only two things. Either Ethereum got killed by other network, ETH go to zero, then we all go home. Or otherwise, another opportunity is that blockchains prove to be scam. People all leaving the party. Party's over, then we all leave. Otherwise, unfortunately, there's nothing for .es there's nothing to stop .es to be the .com of crypto. And we've all seen this episode before, how .com does, how those great NFT did in the past. So yeah, just do the right thing. Thanks, guys.
Load up your bags, guys. Load up the bags. Gary, any final takeaways from the conversation or anything notable to say on the way out?
Yeah, there's a lot of people here, and it's really exciting to know that people care. Everyone here listening, I wish upon you curiosity as well as massive hope and massive optimism. I also think that we are still more in a bear market than a bull market. I don't think the FOMO and the all-time highs are here yet, which makes me feel good because I like doing the opposite. When everyone's happy, then I'll be sad. And now I'm very excited because I know it's still this not bull market. And what that means for you and what that means for the people that is that the two things that you got to care about most are understanding how everything works in terms of security. And the second thing you need to know is how everything works in terms of privacy, right? And so for the people you love, for the people you hate, for everyone getting into the game, understand blockchain security. People don't understand Web 2 security. People don't understand Web 2 privacy. And now Web 3, the ownership is back in our control. So we want to understand that security. We want to understand the privacy, and then we can have a crypto wallet. We can have our Web 3 identity, and we can take back our ownership of our money, of our assets, of our very name. It's a very exciting time that we're upon. And lastly, I would just encourage everyone to remember that we overestimate the short term and we underestimate the long term. And now the words crypto wallet exists in the GoDaddy UX. The words crypto wallet exists in the GoDaddy UI. So with that being said, just take care of yourselves. And with that, I definitely hope that you take care of each other. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful ending. For those that don't know, Adam, myself, and Chris, we work at Emblem Vault. We host this show Tuesday through Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Emblem Vault is the leading NFT interoperable protocol that is integrated into 10 plus blockchains. A lot of fun stuff there. Tomorrow, we're going to be back doing our weekly inscription market conversation, touching everything from Bitcoin ordinals, stamps, Doginals, Litecoin ordinals, etc. And then on Thursday, I think we may be hosting a Doginals focus spaces. Please make sure you give everyone on stage a follow. ENS is bound to blow up. I do have a .sats, but my first one was jakegallen.eth. It is by far the leading decentralized domain protocol. Until then, guys, enjoy your Tuesday, and we will see you back here tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time.